Well, my presentation will be very light and short. I'm so grateful to Alexis Nicolau, for getting in depth in new technologies. And what I can say is that the innovation and the emerging of new technologies, as described also by Alexis Nicolau, have triggered new challenges both to lawyers and business people and generally to people. I believe, especially for lawyers, I can see that there are two aspects which of relevance. One is actually the utilization of technology by the lawyers, and it's the ability to use the new technologies or to be at least aware of them. And we need to get adapted so we can use professionals and try to implement technology in our practices. And in this way, we can create efficiency, and we can serve our clients much better and maximize our profit. So one aspect of is the digitalization that the lawyers and the governments nowadays, we have in Cyprus, we have it as a policy, and in other countries, Estonia is very ahead of everybody, I think, is the digitalization. And there is a plan for that. So the same way the government is doing so, the private sector is also doing so. And maybe to a great extent, the private sector is ahead of the government on this. So we need to be aware, and this is the first aspect of relevance with technology for lawyers and, of course, business people. The other one is the knowledge, the knowledge of the new technologies to the extent that is relevant to the lawyers. As you can see, these two cartoons here, they can give you an idea of what happens if you are ignorant, first of all. I mean, if you don't know about the new technologies, you can look in for clouds out of the window, or you can do things like this in your workplace. But by knowing about the new technologies, I don't think this list is exhausted, but I tried at least do my best to cover as many as possible. A lot of them have been covered by Alexis, and they gave you some knowledge. Of course, I'm sure you cannot digest it. I cannot digest it so easily. We need to read it and read it. I mean, blockchain, if we're honest, no matter how many times we read about it and listen, we still have a lot of questions. Metaverse, it's also, I mean, a very attractive concept and is developing now. So we have the artificial intelligence. We have all these things, the new things and the new concepts that we need to learn about, at least to know the basics. We don't need to know every little thing about them. We need to know the basics. As far as lawyers are concerned, and I will speak about that because I am a lawyer, but it also applies to other business. But as far as I'm concerned, we have to think how technologies develop. Technologies develop through creativity by some people, and they were innovative, and they create the new technologies. And then they need to commercialize this. So along this way, and these efforts by these entrepreneurs and the talented people, they need some assistance by professionals. And the lawyers can play a major role for these people. First of all, we must not forget that the creation has a value, as Alexis also said. It has a value. So they need to be protected. So they need to know their rights. Now, if you know the things that they will be protected, the traditional things, it's easy. But when there are new things like new technologies, we do need as lawyers to know about them, even a little bit about it. Not even, don't need to have in-depth knowledge, but we do need to know about it. Because we need to protect them. We need to help them to register their patents. We need to register their trademarks. We need to advise them as to how to protect their rights when they're making agreements with third parties. So we need to be aware of the concepts, the new concepts, in order to facilitate us to provide better services for our clients in drafting their agreements, advising them in starting and setting up their companies. And also is relevant for us as lawyers to know the regulation. Is there a regulation from blockchain? Is there regulation on AI? I know that in the level of European Union, there are discussions and trying to do the AI Act and blockchain, of course, which would be automatically relevant to the European countries and applicable, either being regulations or directives. So we need to know the regulations. We need to help the clients to get license. So we have to be aware of the new technologies, and we need to be in a position to convince the authorities to give them that license. How can we do that if we are not aware of these technologies? Then there are other issues, more specialized, like tax planning. I mean, it gives the opportunity, because of the governments trying to encourage innovation and new technologies. It's well known to all of us that they're trying to give incentives. So, like other countries, also Cyprus is giving a lot of incentives. We have the IP box regime. We have some incentives, tax incentives on investors who invest on innovative companies. And we have also we created incentives for funds that are specializing in innovative companies. Innovative companies, to be qualified as innovative companies, they need to be certified. And in Cyprus, we have a rule that they can be certified for 3 years and then they can renew it. So if you're a lawyer, you have to advise your client that you must be certified. You can apply for them to be certified. And also, you can tell them that by doing so, they're giving an advantage to their enterprise, because the investors who they want to attract, they will benefit from that, because there is a tax incentive. Also, for us lawyers, it's very relevant to know about these new technologies in litigation and arbitration. We know the substantive law that is relevant to AI, which is relevant to these new technologies, metaverse. There might be disputes. So we need to know the subject. We need to discuss with expert witness, maybe, to come to court. We need to be able to communicate with them and to understand it, so we can represent our clients in the best way. Then there comes the data protection. Because of all this collection, easily collecting data all over the place, you need to manage them, you need to protect them. So it's another big area, the data protection and conventions and rules and regulations. They are connected to new technologies. And of course, we have all the other risks and challenges with regard to security, the so-called cybercrime that is going on for years now, since the development of the internet, but now has new challenges. Maybe some of the technologies that come here to fix a problem, like the blockchain, to make it more secure. I know that we're trying to promote the online courts. I know that Alexander doesn't feel comfortable with the online arbitration courts or litigation, and I respect that. But it's something that of the future, and maybe even the present, because some countries like China, they have introduced online courts. And they did that how? They did it, they use the technology, but also they use the blockchain platform. And the reason they did this is to provide security, so Alexander will not be worrying about security. So blockchain, it seems like it is, for the reasons Alexis described, and a secure platform that it can provide peace of mind when we're creating the online courts. In a lot of countries, they haven't regulated the new technologies. They are in the process of doing so. In Cyprus, as far as I know, we have done some things relating to the blockchain, discussing about it. And we're referring to some legislations regarding the money laundering provisions and things like this. But of course, CySec, and thanks to the previous head of CySec, Dimitra Kalogiru, who is tried to regulate the cryptocurrency blockchain, they created a procedure where you can get licensing and to be appearing in a list of companies that are in this field. In order to summarize everything I said, it's very important for us to be aware of the new technologies so that we don't end up in this embarrassing position as this colleague of mine who appeared before an arbitrator, and instead of him, we could see a cat. I'm sure that these embarrassments we have all experienced in different ways, and we cannot prevent them always, but I believe it's important for all of us, lawyers and business people, to make an effort to understand better what is coming, what is here, how it's working, and how can we utilize the technology for the best interest of our clients and for the efficiency of our companies. Thank you all for listening to me. I hope I gave you some value and I triggered some kind of stimulation so that you can also learn a little bit about these things, and we can then exchange our knowledge together and share it. And after all, this is the purpose of this organization, to be together and share knowledge internationally in Europe and elsewhere. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Our last speaker for the first part of the presentations will be Mr. Charalambos Panayiotou. He is the manager of Atlantis Environment Innovation Limited and also the president of Greenovate Europe. He will be speaking on